Good evening. It is Tuesday, April 4th, and I'm doing a drive from downtown St. Paul, or just outside of downtown St. Paul, to Costco in Maplewood. We're running some errands tonight, so figured I'd record a few drives. We're getting rain again. It's turning into Seattle here in Minnesota now that it's not cold enough for snow, which I'll take any day. But yeah, just kind of see how things go here with this drive. I anticipate at least one disengagement along the way due to a cloverleaf I think we're going to hit at some point. Unfortunately, version 11.3.4 and all the 11 builds so far, 11.3 builds so far, are unable to deal with the tight cloverleafs. They just don't get over soon enough. So I've been disengaging a lot at those positions there. So, but yeah, otherwise, downtown St. Paul, we'll be going straight down West 7th Street here for maybe another mile, and then we'll be getting on to 35. Good job getting over for that car there. It was sticking out a little bit. We probably could have went around it, maybe been on the edge of our lane, but it was a good move to get over there. So interesting. The car just dispersed a little bit of washer fluid there, almost because the wiper blades were dragging a little bit. That was kind of interesting. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's the first time I've seen it do that, especially when it's already raining out. And so right now, too, just a heads up, I actually do not have it navigating to any location right now. I just have it going straight. So just to kind of show you, the nav here is empty. Once we get through this intersection, I'm going to queue it up to go the way I want it to go, which should bypass some traffic. Alright, so now that we've passed that intersection here, I'm going to fire up Costco. So coming up here, our left turn, it's not going to be this light but the next light. Our left turn on a Wabasha is a little challenging because there's actually 3 lanes once we make the left turn, but there are no lane markings. It's just such a St. Paul thing. Don't see a lot of that in Minneapolis. The roads are fairly well marked there compared to St. Paul, but St. Paul is the worst. So I noticed some issues a couple times ago when I did this trip. I think it was with 11.3.3 where the car was kind of all over the place. I did this once before with 11.3.4 and it stayed to the left properly. So let's see what it does here. This is also an unprotected left turn, so we get cars kind of coming at us which are partially occluded by this, walkway support beam in front of us here. So okay, so we are clear, and it looks like we are actually going to stop at this yellow. So good behavior there. I mean, personally I would have went, but I'm more aggressive than a system like this should be, so that's perfectly fine by me by being cautious there. So I don't know if I would have went in front of that fire truck, but we had enough room, so I let the car just do its thing. I did give it a little nudge on the accelerator after, but overall, not the worst behavior. Had we waited and paused then tried to go, I would have said that would be a bad move. But do want to commend the car for picking the left lane and then immediately getting over to the right. That was really good behavior there. You can see on the wheel too. I mean, even though it's wet, the line visibility, there's pretty much no lines really on this road except towards the end here. car did a good job with path planning and everything back there, and as well as with that nice lane change there. It placed itself very, very nicely. So, and then again here, there's like 3 lanes here, but they're not really well marked, and the car's doing a pretty darn good job of figuring out where it needs to go here. And good job with that fork there of staying in the middle. I think with previous 10 builds, it would have tried to either dart left or right. But when version 11 now, it does a good job of just staying put. All right, so now we'll be getting on to 35E North up here. And a good job of accelerating. I don't want it to accelerate any more than this though. We'll see what it does here. It should start slowing down here with this car in front of us. Yeah, good job managing the speed around that corner there. It didn't get too out of hand there in terms of its pace. Maybe a few miles per hour more than I would have done, but pretty darn good job there. And just in general too, like the throttle inputs, they're just more human-like, right? It's not just whamming the throttle open when the speed limit changed, because it has to accelerate from like 30 to 50. Before it would just be all on. It's very binary, on or off. You know, the regen, the deceleration. We're using more regen now. So overall, the vehicle inputs are much smoother with version 11 than they've ever been. No doubt, still a work in progress, but there's been noticeable improvements there that I want to call out. So these cars are lit up dark here, which means, yeah, you can kind of see we're trying to get over at some point here. It's going to have to start slowing down a little bit and try to figure itself out. I'm going to let it go to the end here and see what happens. And then if we get kind of snubbed here, I'll take over and complete the lane change. But there should be a window here at some point. Let's see how it goes. So there is a slight window there, but I think we hesitated just a tad too long. That would have worked out really nicely because of that debris in the middle of the road there, but it looks like we're going to get another chance here. Let's see if the car gets over. Alright, so we have to get over now. I'll let it get over. Alright, so it ended up working out. Maybe a little later than I would have preferred. And normally I would have gotten over lane for those people that were pulled over there, but they were very clearly out of the way and weren't going to be impacted by our trajectory at all. So I did cancel that lane change there. I think because of the visibility, it wasn't clear that those lanes are for HOV only, and because we were in rush hour, that would have technically not been a legal maneuver there, so I did cancel that. I'm going to check my settings, though. I may have left it on, so it might be an error on my part here. No, it's turned off, so it should definitely not use that lane. But again, more than likely just had a hard time seeing the 2 white lines there. So I'm going to report that actually, just on second thought. So I'm going to let it just do this maneuver now, though. Broke it. So it looks like we're gonna miss this lane. Yeah, I'm gonna take over here. So that's one area where the routing failed there. Car failed to follow navigation route. So that's a bummer right there, but, you know, we saw a sign here that the car was definitely, you know, maybe having a little bit issues with visibility because of the rain. Not entirely surprising, but definitely seen that behavior more with version 11 than I have in the past. I'm sorry, version 10 in the past. I just haven't, that seems like routing is still a challenge, and I just can't help but think that there's definitely more internal conflicts going on in the software between map data and like lane guidance and whatnot. It just seems like there's still some big issues there. So we're gonna have to get over, and we kind of a perfect storm here. We have somebody up here that's having trouble getting over, and we're having the same issues. So I don't know if the car, and the problem is right now is nobody around us knows that we are trying to get over because our signal is off. So the car is going to try to do this maneuver now. Let's see if it can make it work. I'm going to take over. So that's another disengagement there that honestly could have been avoided. Car wasn't able to get over to the right to make the exit. So, in my opinion, two clunky disengagements there. Not a big fan of either of those. Again, it's raining out, so take it with a grain of salt, but, you know, if we're trying to get over and complete a maneuver, we can't take the turn signal off. We got to leave the turn signal on because nobody around us knows what our intentions are. They just see us potentially slowing down, and that's it. They don't know why we're slowing down. So, you know, we need to be better at using the turn signal in situations like that, and that's definitely an area that needs to be a bigger focus, I think, in future releases. Obviously, we're very much in V1 of single stack here, so it's expected to have these sort of issues, in my opinion, but they need to be a focus maybe for the next release. Lane selection is another issue. The car will frequently, if there's two turn lanes going left, the car will bounce between both of them. Usually, if it goes to the left one, it will suddenly, once it's made halfway through the turn lane, it will dart back over to the right. That's a problem I've noticed in pretty much all these type of intersections, and it definitely is a little jarring. That's maybe one thing that's definitely a regression that I've noticed with version 11, that in behavior I really just don't like. I want to say that behavior is new and it's related to what the NHTSA recall was, because there is something in there if you read it about, you know, lane selection corrections and whatnot. It seems like they have a preference for having the car fix those before it goes through the intersection versus during or after. And I can't say this behavior is any safer or any better, to be honest with you. But then again, if you get me going on the NHTSA recalls, I think a lot of it's a bunch of BS, but that's just my take. Good job navigating around that snowbank there. So let's see if the car comes to a complete stop here. And it does. It goes down to 0 just briefly. So I kind of wish that behavior that we saw there that's how the stop sign behavior used to be. And then unfortunately Tesla took that away due to the recall, which is kind of a bummer. All right. Great job with that left turn. Very confident. So yeah, just taking over now since we're in the parking lot. But, you know, net, you know, not a terrible drive again. I think there's a lot of positives, especially when we were in downtown St. Paul, and then obviously the portion here that we did in Maplewood that was pretty confident as well with some of the turn behavior and whatnot. But definitely the downsides of this drive, you know, again, the issues and the disengagements come on the highway, and it's strictly due to lane selection. So if there's one issue where FSD needs the most work, and I'm sure it's the hardest problem to solve, it's lane selection, and you know, the car just again, it seems to be due to map data. So if Tesla could somehow use the vision system to update some basic map data, we would see a lot less of those clunky disengagements, in my opinion. But I'm sure the problem is more complex than that, and I'm oversimplifying things. But anyways, that's it for this drive. I will be doing a run to Target after this, so I will see you in a little bit. Thanks for watching.